In the village where my grandmother was born, it was said that there were moons that only illuminated and others that decided. She said that, on certain nights, the sky was not just beautiful, it was attentive. I remember well a story she used to tell, with her eyes half closed, as if she could still smell the scent of that old night. A woman, simple and silent, made a wish while observing the full moon. It was a desire kept deep in her soul, one of those that we don't always dare to confess out loud. The following month, her life turned upside down. He lost his job, distanced himself from old friends, spent sleepless nights, but in the end, he found something he never realized he was looking for. The promise was fulfilled, but not before, profoundly transforming her. Not every blessing comes softly, a grandmother used to say. And no matter how much those words echo like a legend, there is something about the night of April 12th that makes them return with strength. Have you ever wondered why some desires take so long? Or why, when they finally come true, they no longer seem to serve us? Maybe the issue isn't with time, but with energy. And maybe the answer lies in the moon. The pink full moon is not just a spectacle for the eyes. Although the name evokes softness, its spiritual vibration is intense, precise, and in many cases, relentless. This is not a moon that listens to empty promises. She examines. She probes the silence between the words. She perceives how much you are truly prepared for what you say you want. Many associate full moons with rituals, baths, and candles lit under the stars. But the pink moon goes beyond symbols. She touches what is hidden, moves what was stagnant, and asks no questions. She simply reveals. Don't expect her to come with explanations. This moon does not respond to what you desire, but to what you vibrate. She doesn't deliver out of pity. She delivers out of energetic merit. And what she activates, no one else can deactivate. That's why so many people feel discomfort in the days leading up to it. Restlessness without reason, memories that return out of nowhere, internal changes that seem inexplicable. But all of this is the call, a subtle but powerful call to cross an invisible portal. The question now is not what you want to manifest, but what you are willing to sustain. Because this moon doesn't fulfill dreams, it activates destinies. And yours, perhaps, is about to begin in a way you don't yet understand. What the pink moon is really testing in, you few realize. But not every full moon comes just to close a cycle. Some touch the invisible, activate what was dormant, reorganize what seemed certain. And the so-called pink moon, despite its delicate name, belongs to this rare type of energy. She doesn't come to beautify the sky. She comes to test. But test what exactly? This moon is not interested in what you say you want. She does not respond to desires cast into the wind, nor to intentions spoken merely to please one's own ego. She observes something deeper, that which cannot be hidden. The pink moon reads your vibration. Feel the quality of your choices. Examine silently your willingness to sustain what you ask for. That's why, many times, instead of a sudden miracle, what manifests in this phase is discomfort, doubt, inner turmoil, feelings that come without apparent reason and make you rethink what just days ago seemed settled. And this is not punishment. It's a direct reflection of what is being revealed. Because, under this light, the universe does not deliver what pleases, it delivers what reflects who you truly are. And when this truth becomes visible, many are not ready to see it. It is at this point that subtle conflicts begin. Compliments that sound like pressures, external expectations that no longer make sense, old habits that suddenly lose their appeal. People congratulate you for being so calm, when in fact you have been swallowing words that needed to be said. Others admire you for being strong, when what you most desire is to rest. And the moon sees all of this. She sees when a compliment is a prison, when a pattern that seemed virtuous actually limits you, when the image you maintain no longer corresponds to the essence you want to emerge. This moon tests if you are ready to break free, even if no one applauds, even if nothing is guaranteed. She observes your courage to abandon what is comfortable, to live what is true. And if you feel that, in the last few days, something inside you has started to move without explanation, it might be because you are being called to align with what truly resonates in your spirit. And not in your persona. This moon does not demand perfection. It demands presence. She demands honesty, because only what is real can withstand what is to come. When the body perceives before the mind, there are moments when the body knows before the mind. It feels something that has not yet been translated into words, reacts to vibrations that do not appear in the common senses, and with the approach of the pink moon, this type of perception intensifies. What seemed like mere fatigue, a random distraction, could actually be the beginning of a realignment. You may not notice it immediately, but suddenly something starts to change. Sleep becomes light or restless. The mind wanders even during simple tasks. Subtle physical sensations appear and disappear without explanation. A shiver down the spine, a sudden warmth in the hands, an unexpected urge to rearrange the environment around you. Some feel a metallic taste in their mouth, as if something is being purified from the inside out. Others have the impression that they forgot something important, even though nothing concrete is missing. These signs, no matter how subtle they may seem, are not random. They are like small spiritual touches, preparing your energy field for a new alignment. There is no logical reason, and that is exactly where the secret lies. Not everything that matters can be explained. True spirituality does not manifest only in grand events. It reveals itself in the detail, in the subtle discomfort, in the slight change of temperature, in the silence that weighs differently. In those moments, the body becomes a bridge. It becomes the translator of a spiritual language that is still being deciphered. And if you stop for a moment and really listen, you will realize that it is not a common nuisance, but a calling, called to reorganize, to silence, to clean what has accumulated too much, not just outside, but inside. That's why, without knowing why, you feel the urge to distance yourself from noise, from certain people, from old routines. It's as if something inside you wanted space to breathe, as if what is to come demands more silence than movement. And it's true. The pink moon doesn't arrive with fanfare. She approaches like a song that can only be heard by those who are in tune. And the body, before the mind accepts it, has already started to dance to this invisible melody. If you feel it, but don't understand it yet, trust. The body only responds with that intensity when the soul has already begun to move. And on this path, it is always the soul that guides, even if the mind only realizes it later. The silence that opens portals to metames. What transforms the most is not what happens, but what simply becomes perceptible. And there is a moment between the end of the night of April 12th and the beginning of the day of April 13th, when this type of perception opens up silently, without warning, without logic. It's when the air changes texture, when time, for a few minutes, seems to hesitate. There are no striking visual phenomena, but for those who are truly present, everything seems different. This is the moment that many call portal, not in the literal sense, as if something magical were opening in the sky, but in the energetic sense, a brief window where the vibration of the physical world aligns with more subtle layers of existence, an interval in which what is within communicates directly with what is outside, without the need for words, elaborate rituals, or repeated affirmations. At this moment, there's nothing to be done. You don't need to want anything, just be. But being truly, the body may have already given signs. The mind, perhaps, is still resisting, but the soul will know. You will feel it in the air, a denser, more vibrant silence. It's not the silence of the absence of sound. It is the silence of total presence, a silence that listens back to you. It is at this point that anything can happen, and at the same time, nothing visible occurs. It is here that many people miss the moment, waiting for obvious signs, for something too mystical, for a spectacle that projects outward. But the true movement is happening within, a realignment so subtle that it can only be felt when there is surrender. Maybe you are at home, without realizing the exact time. Maybe you are walking, distracted, and suddenly feel a kind of full emptiness. Or maybe you wake up in the middle of the night and just know something has changed. Don't try to understand. Don't try to name it. Not everything needs to be rationalized to be real. There are wisdoms that only manifest when you give up control. And this is one of those moments. The pink moon, at this brief moment, is not just in the sky. She is within you, touching regions that were dormant, reorganizing layers you didn't even know existed. And if you can manage to be present, even if only for a few minutes in the silence that opens portals, then something in you, without a doubt, will also open. The choice that no one can make for you. There are moments in the journey when everything around seems silent. No answer comes. No sign manifests. The sky remains static, and even the thoughts, which were once noisy, seem to lose their breath. It's as if the universe, so full of messages in the previous phases, now just observes. And in this stillness, a decision approaches. But this is not a common choice. It's not about choosing between right and wrong, between good and evil. It's something deeper, the choice between what keeps you where you are and what propels you towards who you are becoming. Maybe you find yourself faced with two options. None will seem dangerous. None will immediately pose a clear risk. But still, something inside you will know that this moment carries more than it appears. Because it's not about the options themselves. It's about who you need to be to walk through them. Often, in the most intense spiritual phases, we seek confirmations. A revealing dream, a phrase repeated in sync, a sudden feeling of peace. But now, none of that comes. And it is precisely this absence that reveals you no longer need external signs. This is true spiritual maturity, when you stop expecting validation from the invisible and starts to trust their own vibration. The doubt that arises at this moment is not an error. It is the echo of the old self trying to maintain control. But your new self, the one that has been gestating since the beginning of this lunar cycle, begins to take shape precisely when you choose, even without guarantees. The most healing thing, at this point, is to realize that there is no single right answer. What exists is the path that honors who you truly are, the one that seems challenging, but does not hurt your soul. What demands courage from you, but doesn't require masks. What may not be applauded, but leaves you at peace. And this peace, even if subtle, will be the sign.so when that moment comes. And it will come. Don't wait for permission. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, feel what expands within you, and choose. Because this moon doesn't want you to prove anything. She wants you to embrace who you are. And no one, absolutely no one, can do that for you. You are the sign that others are waiting for. We don't always realize it, but there are moments when we stop being seekers and become guides. Not because we know all the answers, but because we carry a different presence. And that is exactly what this journey of the pink moon awakens in you. The reminder that, even in silence, you influence more than you imagine. After going through days of restlessness, subtle signs, decisions without maps, and inner revelations, you might expect some kind of confirmation, a recognition, a visible relief. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. Instead, the world goes on. But something in you is no longer the same. And the most beautiful and most difficult thing is that your transformation is not meant to be applauded. It is meant to be lived. You can, without realizing it, say a phrase that changes someone's course. You can make a decision that inspires someone else to also free themselves. You can simply choose your truth, and with that, show someone that it is possible to live with integrity. You become, effortlessly, a mirror, not those that reflect appearance, but those that reveal essence. Some people will approach you without knowing why. Others will distance themselves, uncomfortable with the energy you now emanate. Not all relationships will remain. Not all cycles will continue. And this is not rejection, it's realignment. Because, when you change, your frequency changes. And the world responds to frequency, not to speech. This moon didn't just activate something in you. It has reorganized the way your soul communicates with the world. And from here on, each of her steps carries a new energy field. A field that opens invisible paths for others. A field that, many times, will only be noticed by the other when they are already in the middle of the crossing. You don't need to see the effect you cause. You don't need to know who is touched. Because spirituality is not measured in visibility, but in truth. You are the sign someone was waiting for. You are the turning point disguised as a simple gesture. You are the silent beginning of a new story that will still blossom even if you never come to know. This is the beauty of the invisible, and this is the seed that the pink moon planted in you.